Hi, welcome back. I'm Adam Rosen. I'm an orthopedic surgeon who specializes in total knee replacements. So a few of my viewers have sent in questions about DVTs, and I thought I would cover that in today's episode. So what is a DVT or a blood clot? You might sometimes see it as a VTE, venothromboembolic. DVT is a deep vein thrombosis. And you can get them in the lung too, called a PE or pulmonary embolus. So these can occur for a number of reasons. There's a lot of diseases that can make people more at risk of developing clots. You may have heard of somebody traveling and developing one after a long airplane ride. But after a hip and knee replacement, because we're working on the legs and there's other issues down there and swelling, you can fairly commonly see blood clots. So the risks of blood clots have changed. You know, many years ago, surgeries were longer. People were in the hospital longer. They were in bed for days. They didn't really get up with physical therapy. And there wasn't any specific treatment early on. And there were rates in the 50%. 50% of people had blood clots after surgeries like knee replacement. Nowadays, luckily, those rates are a lot lower. A lot of studies that I've read, and I'll talk to patients about 5%, 8%. But there's also studies that show 1 or 2%. So this is where it gets a little confusing. And you have to really wonder when you look at a study, what were they studying? So for us, some studies look at all patients getting an ultrasound, and they're looking for all clots. And that means that a lot of clots patients didn't even know about. They were asymptomatic, but they had a clot. Luckily, a lot of clots, if you're up and moving and walking around, will dissolve and go away on their own. Where other studies look for what we call symptomatic clots, meaning the patient had pain, redness, swelling, which prompted somebody to order an ultrasound, and it showed a clot. So when you see these variations in those numbers, that is particularly why. And then we also worry about clots in the lung, these PE or pulmonary emboli. And those can be even lower, usually in the 1% or less category. But they're more concerning because this can kill you, and luckily that rate is extremely low. Some studies have shown like 0.1% or even less. But it's a big deal if you're that 1% of patients that gets a clot in your lung. So if you do get a clot in the lung, what are the symptoms? Well, shortness of breath is most common, heart racing, chest tightness. These are all things that you go to the emergency room or call an ambulance for if you're at home because they can be life-threatening problems. More commonly, what we deal with though is pain in the leg, and this can be pain swelling in the calf. And if you press, there's a sign that you may hear either your nurse or your doctor or your therapist mention called a Homan sign. The problem is a lot of studies have looked at it, and the ability to clinically diagnose a blood clot, meaning us examining you and feeling it, is 50-50. If you have swelling, you might as well flip a coin because the odds are just as good of I have a clot or I don't. It's heads or tails. So if you have pain or swelling of any sort, it really prompts the next test, which is an ultrasound. And an ultrasound is really the way that we can determine whether or not you have a blood clot. And then we also have to worry about whether or not the blood clot is below the knee or whether or not the blood clot is above the knee. Now, for all patients, there's not a no-risk category. You're having a surgery of the leg. So everybody is at some risk. We call that normal risk. There are some people, though, that will have a higher than normal risk. So this would be people with any history of a blood clot ever before. Sometimes people that are on oral contraceptives or hormone therapy may be at a higher risk. If you have cancer, it can place you at a higher risk. If you're a smoker, it can place you at higher risk. If you have certain genetic diseases or disorders, there's a few diseases where you're more apt to form a clot, and those people are at higher risk. So if you look at those two categories, normal risk, high risk, there may be a difference in how we treat people. So how we treat people has changed. The first thing that we do is early range of motion and early ambulation. It used to be that you'd have a knee replacement and lay in bed for days. You'd be in the hospital for a week. Now you have surgery today, therapy today, sometimes home today or therapy tomorrow and home tomorrow. But it's a fairly quick thing. And the more you're up and moving, the quicker you're moving, the more you're walking, the lower the risk of getting a blood clot. Also in the hospital, you may have some type of mechanical device, these compression boots or calf squeezers that people get put on to help circulate the blood and decreases the risk of a blood clot forming. Most likely, you will also be put on some type of medication. So for many patients in the world now, if they're at normal risk, they'll be placed on aspirin. And aspirin can help decrease the risk of a blood clot. It's actually a little bit controversial because years ago, they were looking at aspirin, and when they were looking at risk of death from heart attack and stroke after joint replacement surgery, people on aspirin, when compared to other pills like warfarin or Coumadin, which you may be familiar with, the patients on aspirin had a lower risk of heart attacks and strokes. But when the hematologist talked about this, the blood clots we're talking about, DVTs, typically occur on the venous side or in veins, and aspirin protects more on the artery side. But a lot of studies have shown that the risk with aspirin compared to some of the other blood thinners is lower. And when they look at these rates of DVTs, it's shown that it's fairly safe, which is why it's become more of the gold standard in most places around the world. People that have knee replacements now, typically, if they're of normal risk, meaning they still have a risk, but they're not high risk, will be placed on aspirin of some sort for a period of time. Your doctor can talk to you about the dosing and the duration. Now, for other patients that are at higher risk for whatever reason, they may be put on some other type of chemical. You may hear other pills like Xarelto or Eliquis. Sometimes people will use shots. You might hear about enoxaparin. So there's different medications that work in different ways to thin your blood. Those medicines are there to prevent the risk of a blood clot forming because for some reason your doctor has determined that you're at higher risk of developing a clot. The downside of any blood thinner is a blood thinner causes bleeding and you just had surgery. So you have to watch for bleeding both in the knee and in other places. Now, aspirin also has a risk of bleeding, except that bleeding risk is a lot lower. So, I hope that sort of explains or helps you better understand all those things that we worry about. Things that you can do is talk to your doctor. Let them know if you've had a blood clot before. Let them know if there's some family history of people in your family developing blood clots. Let them know if you have cancer. Let them know if you're smoking. Let them know if you're on oral contraceptives or hormone therapy. All of these things may increase your risk of developing a blood clot. And then after surgery, one of the other things that you can do is help control the swelling. So you may do that with elevation. You may do that with compression socks or compression sleeves. Anything that you can do to reduce the risk of swelling, which is a risk factor for developing a blood clot, can help you and decrease the chance of you having a blood clot form. And then if you do develop symptoms, talk to your doctor. If it's more of a pulmonary embolus, things like that, that's go to the ER, call 911. But if you've just developed some calf pain, talk to your doctor and get their opinion on, is it something that they can watch? Maybe you're already on a blood thinner for your heart at a appropriate dose. So there's not a huge urgency for many of those patients because the ultrasound's not going to do anything different. But maybe you're on aspirin and they want to find out if you have a blood clot because they might have to transition you to a different pill. So that should hopefully answer some of the questions. Make a list of these questions for your surgeon, and this way you can have a good informed discussion with them prior to your surgery to discuss your risks and what their plan of care is for you after surgery. So thanks again for watching. I'm Adam Rosen. Until next time, stay safe.